Yeah, we've got quite a traffic jam of water coming, getting you caught up on landfall. It happened right around 7 o'clock this morning near Steinhatchee, Florida. Category 1 storm at landfall with winds 80 miles per hour, pressure 979 millibars. But as you mentioned, landfall, a lot of times when people go, okay, now we move on and move to the next one. Not the case with Debby.
Yeah, so again, don't think that landfall means, okay, the worst is over, and don't think a tropical storm can't be catastrophic and life-threatening.
We know that that is going to be the case with this one, with a lot of heavy rain still to come. This may last for another week or so. Not joking, folks. Another 7 days we could be in the thick of it, especially the heavy rain. The show's going on right now on the radar. You can see where some of the heavy rain is right there at the Florida and Georgia state line. But there are going to be some really heavy rain bands that now hit us in South Carolina, eventually North Carolina too.
Now, we've got flood warnings for the rain all the way down the Gulf Coast of Florida, past Tampa, and we're starting to get the flooding rains moving into Georgia, even South Carolina. And it is just the beginning of what could be days of rain, and we're not just going to be talking about inches. We're going to be talking about maybe multiple feet of rainfall in portions of Georgia and South Carolina.
Some pretty astounding totals in the forecast. Let's give you a look at Hilton Head, South Carolina right now. We have seen the rain moving in. Obviously, surf's going to be picking up. Not too rough right now, but as Dr. Nab mentioned, parts of coastal Georgia and South Carolina will be dealing with that onshore push, rough surf conditions, and days of rain. It's raining now. It'll be raining tomorrow. Could be raining well through the rest of the week. Very heavy rainfall totals. It is portions of Georgia and South Carolina where that forecast does bring the potential for feet of rain. Feet. That would be 20, 25, up to 30 inches of rain possible. So some huge totals that would come out of a very slow-moving Debby that sticks around through the remainder of the week. We've got our crews out there. We're going to be bringing you the latest with Jim Cantori in Charleston in just a few hours. But right now, Dr. Nab, you watch this. This has been a trend over the last few years, these slow-moving and absolutely epic rainmakers.
Yep, Alex, and we're going to say it many times. What's the category of the system? What's the status? Is it a tropical storm? If it's not a hurricane, I'm not worried about it. We've got to think about this as one of those notorious category slow systems that can produce a lot more life-threatening conditions, especially with water, than you might think. And this could happen for days and days after this landfall of the hurricane. Now, the maximum winds are going to be coming down, and it's going to spend the next day or so over land of northern Florida and southeastern Georgia, and then come back out over the water for a little while. But the number we have to focus on the most is the forward speed. Right now, it's moving pretty fast compared to what it's going to be doing as it moves along or just offshore of the southeast coast. At least. Still got the storm surge warnings here, Tampa Bay area northward with that onshore flow, and we got the warnings up for the increasing onshore flow here on the southeast coast, and the flood watches are up from Fort Myers all the way to Charleston and Columbia, South Carolina. And there's where the tropical storm warnings are. Yes, the business end of the system is on land here in northern Florida, and then we've got the tornado watch through the rest of the afternoon, especially this eastern side here with all these far-flung bands. Very prone to producing tornadoes. But look at this big flood warning down here in the west coast of Florida. We've got thunderstorms associated with Debby all the way down to Fort Myers. This flood warning goes till 5:45. We've already had a number of problems on the roadways here in Town and Country near Tampa. The Shore Acres near St. Pete, these are all from this morning, but this water is not going to drain all that quickly. Plant City, evacuation order for a mobile home community, and new reports are coming in. So this is part of Debby, and look at all of these flash flood warnings. Now, in the business end of the storm right here along I-10 west of I-75, we've got Madison, Florida under a considerable threat flash flood warning until 3:45. Just east of there, Live Oak is under the considerable threat also until 6:15. Again, this is only moving 8 miles an hour, so it's going to take a while for the rain to move out. I-75 between Atlanta and the northern Florida area, heavily traveled roadway this time of year. Flash flood warning until 2:15. And now Georgia is getting in on it. This is just the beginning of what could be an extremely dangerous period of flash flooding. This flood warning starting off goes till 4:30. But look how slowly this is going to be moving, and it's going to slow down as it moves into Georgia tonight. And by this time tomorrow, still struggling to get off the coastline. So that's why this is going to be a really dangerous afternoon, evening, and overnight with that high risk of flash flooding into tomorrow morning, Alex.
And meteorologist Jen Carfagno, she joins us live from Valdosta, Georgia, one of those spots down into the southern part of the state, getting in on serious rain today. Jen, I saw you were talking to the emergency manager. They're, of course, just offering up the advice to stay off the roads. Falling trees have already been a problem today. Could be an issue there.
Yeah, and, we've heard reports of that south of here in town. So I haven't seen any or heard any reports of big trees. Even down here, there's been some minor tree limbs coming down. But the concern is that after hours and hours of 40 or 50 mile per hour winds, you can get those bigger tree limbs down. So don't think just because it hasn't happened yet, it won't. It definitely, we're going to see the winds take their toll, I think, on our tree canopy here, as well as the fact that this rainfall is just so persistent. And it has been heavy since 5 o'clock this morning. Been in heavy rain. The wind has been gusting over 40 or 45 since about that time. We've had some peak winds here in Valdosta up over 50. We've been at 55. We've been at 57. The last gust I saw was at 55 miles per hour. And I'm not getting the worst of the weather here downtown, but when it ramps up, I can feel it. This street, Central Avenue, runs east-west, and so the east wind that we're getting kind of funnels right down the street, and I can watch the rain in sheets just kind of go down this avenue when the wind really does pick up. Now, rainfall estimates based on radar I've seen about 4 or 5 inches to our south and east, where pretty much we've been watching Debby move just excruciatingly slow, has dropped about a foot plus, 12 to 15 inches of rain. Communities like Live Oak and in between Lake City and Mayo, those are some of the areas really hard hit. And I am worried that as Debby slowly moves over towards South Georgia, that big rain is coming at least close to this way. At the very least, the pivoting of some of the stronger winds coming in here to Valdosta is going to be a challenge. Everything is closed today, as you can imagine, but even big things. I mean, of course, schools are shut down. It was their second day of school. They're not obviously in session today, but even the local Walmart is closed because of the conditions here with Debby. Just making sure they're playing it safe. Valdosta State University is closed today. I know a lot of other schools in the South. This is a big week. Georgia Southern is supposed to be rush week for sororities, and they're going to have to postpone things here. I've heard that they are going to at least move it a little bit later. Things are not going to start today with the weather that is coming their way. For folks who are looking ahead to the rest of the week, the rainfall today certainly is in the forecast for the biggest deal. When you look beyond today, there's uncertainty in the forecast. And Mike Bettis, one thing I want to make sure everyone knows is that there's a chance this heavy rain, stays here through tomorrow just because of how slowly it is moving. It does not seem like it's moving at 8 miles per hour.
No, and it may at some point just become stationary, honestly, and that just means that what you have is what you get. And this could go on literally 4 days, exactly what Jen is showing us there. And it'll be other places too. Valdosta is getting hammered right now, but it'll be Waycross and Savannah and Brunswick and Statesboro. All those little communities that are away from the water, right? You don't have to be at a coastal location to get those kind of effects. Again, Valdosta, not anywhere close to the ocean, and we're getting hammered by rain. So here's a look at that forecast. And to Jen's point, because we've got a slow-moving system, we've got life-threatening rainfall on the way. Pockets here where we're going to get a foot to a foot and a half, and again, that forecast could be underdone. This forecast through Saturday. This could stick around all week long. So some of those cities that I mentioned, like a Waycross to Savannah, Orangeburg, Somerville. These are all Conway, Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head. These are all places where you're going to get so much rain. You're going to be so tired of it, but it's going to be so dangerous, unfortunately. Notice here, 8 to 12 inches around Wilmington and Myrtle Beach. Lesser amounts as you go northbound. But again, that's all in relation to the map I'm showing you. 5 to 8 inches is a huge amount of rain. Raleigh, we've been in flash flood warnings, it seems like, nonstop for the last 3 weeks. And more heavy rain's not going to help because the ground's really wet right now in eastern North Carolina. Flood watch in effect here. Fort Myers all the way past Augusta and Charleston, up there clipping the Columbia metro area in South Carolina. High risk for flooding here. That's going to include near Charleston, back down towards Cedar Key. That's through tomorrow, and then that'll extend farther north as we go through midweek. But think about this. How about the percent of yearly flood damages that we see in this country happens on 83% of high-risk days. So the damages happen on the high-risk days. Like 83% of the damages happen on these type of events. Just 4% on moderate risk days. So I think that tells you kind of everything you need to know. And the really pricey ones, those are the high-risk days for sure. Now let's fast forward tomorrow into Wednesday. As I mentioned, let's just push that high-risk area a little bit farther up the coastline here. So Charleston up through Myrtle Beach and right at the North Carolina and South Carolina state line. Could certainly watch for some flooding here. All these areas that are highlighted in yellow and red as well will include more inland areas and areas farther north. So here's a look at the future radar. Look how little this moves over the course of the next, say, 24 plus hours. So it's sitting about right in there, and now maybe the center's sitting about right in there. So barely budging for you, okay? So those are the two spots. Then let's fast forward to, say, Thursday. Now maybe the center of circulation is sitting about right in there. This is all the farther it's moved in 3 days. That is truly insane. And some of the models are hinting it could just stay there or maybe shift north. And some models are actually shifting it all the way back across the southeast again, down the Gulf Coast. There's a look at Wednesday through Thursday. Again, some spots there in South Carolina and North Carolina that'll really be under the gun. So let's take you right into the heart of that. That is Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, with meteorologist Chris Bruin. Chris, the worst of the weather yet to arrive, but once it starts, it may not stop.
Yeah, that's the problem. And we're going to start with very heavy rain. That is really what's in the cards as we go into later tonight throughout the day tomorrow. And that will pretty much be the forecast all week long. Today's really our last kind of calm day. You can see the clouds have arrived. We've had a few light showers, but people are still making the most of it. This is the famous boardwalk here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. You can see the icon where they pose for pictures. And, you know, some people have just gotten to town. This was their week to spend as a family on vacation, and they're wondering what they're going to do. It's going to be very wet, and flooding is really going to be our biggest threat. But there are going to be coastal issues. And come out to the beach with me really quickly. We're going to be watching the possibility of overwash, coastal erosion, and there is that potential of storm surge. Remember, we're going to be likely north of the center, at least for a while, heading through most of the week. And that means we're getting that onshore push as we go into the middle to latter half of the week. What can we expect? Piers taking a beating. High tide, water overwash is possible here near the dunes. And you can see the line down the beach. I love this angle of Myrtle Beach. It's like a wall of high rises and condos here all across the board. So let's walk you through the forecast because I want folks who are on vacation to really make their plans wisely. Some folks are planning on leaving early, heading out. They don't want to be here for the rain. It kind of ruins some of their plans. Other folks just got here and they're wondering, what do we do? Well, we're going to have a lot of rain. It's 80 degrees. Temperatures aren't very hot, right? But the winds are really going to be more of a factor, I think, as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. Now, not to forget the threat for tropical tornadoes. The future radar showing you those bands really picking up through the overnight and really into tomorrow morning. Tomorrow's going to be a washout of a day. There may be some lulls in the activity, and it will be much breezier throughout your Tuesday. But those squalls could produce severe weather, the risk for twisters, brief tornadoes, and then very strong gusts at times, although they likely won't be persistent. But the rainfall will be adding up. The high risk for flash flooding extends up to the Grand Strand and even parts of eastern North Carolina throughout the day tomorrow, and particularly into Wednesday as that rain really adds up. We're talking nearly a foot of rainfall, widespread here across northeastern South Carolina and also up towards Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach area. Those are general estimates, and Dr. Knabb, the rainfall could be the biggest calling card here with Debby as it approaches the southeast coast, and we still can't rule out the chance it goes back into the Atlantic, intensifies, and then comes back onto land later this week.
And so that water aspect, the rain-induced flooding, is going to be combined with the saltwater problems that we've got. We've already got high risk of rip currents in the southeast coast of the U.S. as well as the Gulf Coast of Florida ahead of the system. But that onshore push is going to increasingly produce storm surge here on the southeast coast, as it is still doing here on the Gulf Coast. Even in Crystal River, just very recently, portion of US 19 closed due to the flooding. Mainly that is storm surge coming onshore still on the south side of Debby. But you'll notice the water levels will be increasing on this side. So we got the storm surge warning here for the coast of Georgia and South Carolina. And that might not be evacuation level storm surge necessarily. You want to see what your local officials say about that. But the problem is that this slow motion is going to produce such copious amounts of rainfall, and that onshore push is going to prevent the rainwater from being able to drain off the coasts of Georgia and South Carolina. Then we've got the wind to deal with too.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
Amazing.
Geico can help when you get a flat tire with their easy app and 24/7 help.
To the right now. To the left.
No, to the left.
Watch out, watch out, watch out.
Is the GPS playing the cha-cha slide?
Now, it's time to get funky.
Funky's not a direction.
To the right now. To the left.
Go to the right. Right.
Freeze. Everybody clap your hands.
Whatever you need, from coverage to service, get more with Geico.
Let's go.
With Chevy Equinox EV, you can wake up every day with a full charge. Your crew can have a roomy, no-compromise interior. And starting around $34,995, you and your money can go further in America's most affordable EV with over 315 miles of range. Equinox EV, a vehicle you know, value you'd expect, and a dealer right down the street. Go EV without changing a thing. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Pretty Litter was the one that changed my world when it comes to cats.
My house never smells like cat litter. I don't have to worry about, if he's sick or not because I could tell by the color of the health monitor.
Because Pretty Litter changed colors, I was able to get my cat Larry to the vet and get him the help that he needed.
My favorite part about having it delivered, it's convenient, it's there when I need it.
It's different than any litter I've ever seen or used, which is why I love it.
So give it a try. Visit prettylitter.com today.
In my business, it's easy to tell whether someone's done the work. Me, I always stay prepared, like how I got a plan through CarShield before my car broke down. And CarShield administrators are the experts at getting expensive repair bills paid.
Call CarShield today. Plans through CarShield pay for expensive repairs on up to 5,000 parts and systems in your car when they break down, including your engine, transmission, and even your electronics.
It's so easy to be prepared for the worst, especially if you've called the best. CarShield, America's #1 auto protection company. They have a network of certified repair technicians. They make the repair process as easy as possible.
CarShield administrators go the extra mile by including coast-to-coast 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, and rental car auctions included.
This is important. You have to call before your car breaks down, or it's too late.
Protect yourself from expensive car repairs. Call 800-498-3209.
Watch the Weather Channel for ongoing coverage of Debby. Get trusted updates only on the Weather Channel and the Weather Channel TV app.
What's the #1 item in a crisis? Food. Because when the world goes sideways, grocery shelves get picked bare and people worry they'll go hungry. That's why you need 4 Patriots' best-selling 3-month survival food kit. Food designed to last for 25 years, tastes great, and is easy to make. Packed with 688 servings and 24 delicious meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Get your food kit with free shipping and free mini kits at 4patriots.com.
We at Visiting Angels want to thank you for welcoming us into your home, no matter where that home may be. The challenge of aging doesn't go away. And for over 25 years, it's been our pleasure providing caregivers that we would have caring for our own mothers and fathers. Visiting Angels, where compassion meets commitment and love is our service.
Visiting Angels, America's choice in home care.
Earth. Vast and extraordinary.
Honestly, this looks like the set of a sci-fi film.
Beautiful and mesmerizing.
Looks like someone's been messing with Photoshop.
And a little weird.
This is completely bizarre. And why have I never heard of this before?
It looks more like it's something NASA would get from an alien planet.
It's truly baffling. All new episodes of Weird Earth return Sunday, August 18th at 8 p.m. only on the Weather Channel.
It's a tropical storm day here in Valdosta, Georgia. It has been windy and rainy all day long. We started really getting into the stronger winds and rain about 5 o'clock this morning, and there's really been no let up since then. At times, the winds have been gusting over 50 miles per hour. In fact, we had a peak wind gusting to 57 at the airport. It's the kind of day where if you can stay home, you should. And really, there's not a lot of need to go out because most everything is closed here in Valdosta. Schools, it was supposed to be their second day of school, but schools are shut down for today. The Valdosta State University also closed for today. City government, only essential employees, and many restaurants and most businesses, even the Walmart actually, is closed today. So that's the advice. Stay home and stay off the roadways. We are looking at about 4 or 5 inches of rain so far, with potentially maybe about 6 to 8 more inches of rainfall. A very slow-moving tropical storm that is moving through northern Florida is dropping tremendous rain there, where we've had a radar estimates of about 12 to 15 inches in communities like Live Oak and in between there and over towards Lake City. And so that rain, if it pivots up closer to us, could really put down some big rainfall rates. South Georgia is certainly getting some big rain and some stronger winds too. There have been more power outages south of Valdosta in southern Lowndes County and across Eccles, and also power outages running about 25,000 customers right now in Georgia. Dr. Nab, let's talk about how slow moving this is and how excruciating the forecast path is for this because of that slow movement.
Yeah, Jen, what's hard to wrap your brain around is that as slow moving as this is right now, it's moving quickly compared to how slowly it's going to move over the next few days. 8 miles an hour is fast compared to what we're going to have, you know, occasionally stalling or looping around near the southeast coast. It's going to take between now and the end of the work week to make it to North Carolina, Jen, and it might even take longer than that.
Yeah, that's amazing, and also amazing that, you know, with the rain that's expected to come out of this, the atmosphere is just so very saturated, and we're not really changing anything. We're not getting any dry air to work into the system. It's just going this Debby, whether it's still a tropical storm or not, in the next 5 days, is going to be working with a very humid atmosphere, which will lead to these big tropical downpours.
Yeah, it's bringing moisture off the warm Gulf of Mexico, off the Gulf Stream. It's got plenty of moisture to tap into, even though it's centered over land right now. And Jen, thanks for the report from South Georgia, and southeastern Georgia east of you could really get some very heavy rainfall. And what we're dealing with now is not just the wind. Got the tropical storm warning here. But Alex, we've got one of those high-risk days that's already in progress.
Yeah, unfortunately, these are the days that account for most of our financial losses and most of our deaths that are associated with flash flooding. They are rare. We don't get high-risk days many days. But, Dr. Nab, when you look at the setup, this is surely going to be one of those ones that validate. So we look at the rainfall rates that are coming down and just how slow this storm is moving.
Yeah, and we've got multiple days at high risk, and this particular graphic shows what's going through the rest of today, tonight, overnight into tomorrow morning. So with that relatively slow motion and the high rain rates near the center, that whole zone is in that high risk until tomorrow morning. So heads up Savannah all the way to near Charleston. But we've already got widespread areas of flash flood warnings, and now we're getting to that next level there near where the center is. That's where we've had 10 to 15 inches of rain already in this area that is now under a flash flood emergency in portions of Columbia, Hamilton, and Sewanee counties there in the Big Bend area of Florida. And this includes places like Live Oak and Dowling Park and Branford. Again, we've already had more than a foot of rain in portions of this area, and we could get another half a foot of rain. So this could be one of the places that gets almost 2 feet of rain out of this event. So this is a community-wide catastrophic threat from flash flooding. You only want to be on the roads if you are fleeing floodwaters to save your life. Otherwise, stay off the roads, get to higher ground. If your life is threatened, call 911. Otherwise, let the responders deal with the folks who are really in a life-threatening situation. If you can stay off the roads, all the better. But Live Oak down to Branford, that's where the heaviest rain has fallen. But we've still got flood warnings down here in the Tampa down to Sarasota area, and we've got a lot more rain to come. So this is through tomorrow morning, and you'll know that the rainfall for Savannah in this red zone is more for later tonight into tomorrow morning. And this is just day number 1. As this system moves slowly northeastward, we're going to have multiple days of high risk. This could take a lot of lives. Stay off the roads.
When is my allergy spray gonna kick in?
You need Astapro.
Astapro?
It's faster, bro. 8 times faster than Flonase. It's faster, bro.
It's faster, bro!
It's faster, bro.
It's mom to you.
Astapro starts working in 30 minutes. Astapro and go.
Meet the Jennifers. Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. Each planning their future through the Chase mobile app. Gen X is planning a summer in Portugal with some help from JP Morgan Wealth Plan. Let's go, Whiskers. Gen Y is working with a banker to budget for her birthday.
You only turned 30 once.
And Gen Z, her credit's golden. Hello, new apartment. 3 gens getting ahead with Chase. Solutions that grow with you. One bank for now, for later, for life. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Did I read this? Did I get eggs? Where are my keys?
Memory and thinking issues keep piling up? It may be due to a buildup of amyloid plaques in the brain. Visit morethannormalaging.com.
Whether you're a professional driver or just a fan, vehicle breakdowns are costly.
It started tugging.
It started making some really weird noises.
The last thing I remember is just the engine cut out.
If your check engine light comes on tomorrow, the repair could easily cost thousands.
Is that transmission?
It's an exhaust leak.
Broken axles.
But with Endurance, you could never pay out of pocket for a costly repair again.
They covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
I had a seat sensor that went out, $1,400. Endurance paid it.
We got a brand new transmission, and we never seen the repair bill.
Use any certified mechanic you want. Just bring your car in, and Endurance will pay them direct. All major parts are covered.
What I like about Endurance, they don't play games, there's no middleman. They're a solid company.
If I didn't have Endurance, I would have paid over $7,000 out of pocket to repair my vehicle.
Something is going to break down. Make Endurance pay for it.
With Endurance, your car repair costs go way down, while your car's life expectancy goes way up, allowing you to drive more and pay less.
One claim alone saved me more than $4,000.
I've had 5 claims, and that is $3,500 that I've kept in my pocket.
So, who's going to pay for your next car repair? You or Endurance?
Whether you put 10,000 or 100,000 miles a year on your car, if it's less than 20 years old, Endurance has you covered with unlimited miles. Plus, your plan covers 24/7 roadside assistance anywhere in the country. Call right now to get $300 off any plan, plus a full year of our top-tier elite benefits, a $2,000 value free. And all Endurance plans come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. But you have to act now.
Call 1-800-683-9346. That's 1-800-683-9346.
Entresto is the #1 heart failure brand prescribed by cardiologists. It was proven superior at helping people stay alive and out of the hospital. Don't take Entresto if pregnant. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. And don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or aliskiren, or if you've had angioedema with an ACE or ARB. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high blood potassium. Ask your doctor about Entresto for heart failure. Novartis may help you save on your prescription.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this.
Loan cannon!
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
Whether you're doing it yourself or hiring a pro, today, let's paint. Exclusively at the Home Depot.
You can't be lulled into a sense of complacency because this is only a tropical storm, or it's only a Category 1, or it's only whatever. You have to take them seriously, especially when you live on an island where there's one road in and one road out.
We've got a lot of work ahead of us. There's going to be a lot of water that's going to be dumped throughout the state, and we're going to see effects of that not just today, but in the ensuing days.
Welcome back into Weather Unfiltered on this Monday. I'm Alex Wilson here with Mike Bettis, our hurricane expert. Dr. Rick Knabb also in the house.
All right, a lot going on with Debby. It's a tropical storm right now, made landfall as a hurricane, but the problems may just be beginning because now we're in for a long haul here as the system slows way down just to a crawl and is likely to produce feet of rain.
Yeah, forecast holds the potential for 2 feet or more of rain across parts of the Carolinas, coastal Georgia as well. So this system is going to be one that we're going to be talking about likely for the next week. Tallahassee, Florida, seeing the gusty winds, the rain out there today, temperatures in the upper 70s. So temps held down given the fact that we've got cloud cover overload, and we've got a lot of heavy rain that's been moving through. Obviously, problems as the storm made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane earlier this morning with wind across parts of North Florida and the south central part of the state of Georgia. Now, Mike, the threat transitions to a mainly rain threat. However, there still will be gusty winds out of this.
There will be, and it's going to be a very breezy day for you in the southeast, especially in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. More than anything else, though, the rain is a huge concern. Let's give you the stats on Debby. As 70-mile-per-hour high-end tropical storm, north-northeast movement at 8 miles per hour, about half the speed it was traveling yesterday. But notice we still have rain bands and strong thunderstorms down here through Florida, some banding up in here that's getting up into South Carolina, but a heavier rain shield is forming now around that center of circulation, and really heavy rain is just going to be pumped out of this day after day after day. In fact, most of the week we're anticipating it to be rainy. Power outages, they've been ticking up, especially in Florida. About more than 250,000 customers do not have power right now, and about 24,000 in Georgia do not have power. In addition to the issues with rain and wind and storm surge that we've had this morning, we've also got some very intense weather when it comes to those bands, and watch for tornadoes. Now, here's the tropical storm warning that remains. This is what we've got. Now, yesterday we had a very colorful map. We had a lot of purple and yellow and orange on the map. It's all red now. Tropical storm warnings from Sarasota and Tampa all the way up toward the Charleston area, okay? There's the heavy rain that's happening for us right now around that center of circulation. The banding up in here could produce rainfall rates of 1 inch plus per hour. Still windy down here near that center of circulation as well. Winds could gust 40, 50 miles an hour, I think, in inland locations. Flash flood emergency, by the way, with the heavy rain around that circulation in Columbia, Hamilton, and Suwannee counties. That's until 6:15. With that, again, the center of circulation about right in there. And notice that that rain shield has barely budged. And so when you sit underneath something like that for hours, it's a certainty you're going to get some flooding. There's the estimated rainfall in the last 12 hours. Some pockets in there where it's already a foot plus. And that's just today, Alex. Consider if you're going to be one of these cities that this sits on you for days, imagine what the totals could be.
Right, and we've seen some really heavy rain moving through parts of South Georgia. I want to bring in meteorologist Jen Carfagno. She is live right now in Valdosta. The rain has been persistent this morning into the afternoon.
Yeah, Alex, it is loud too. I tell you, this rain, it keeps picking up in waves, and I just saw wind gusts at 44 miles per hour over at Moody Air Force Base, which is not far from here. We've had winds. The last op from the regional airport of Valdosta was only 25, but it feels a little bit stronger than that, and it's just blowing the rain around. It truly is a stay at home and watch the storm out your window kind of day. By the way, at Moody Air Force Base, they did actually move some planes to get them to safety. So, you know, a lot of folks around this area definitely took precautions. I mentioned all the closures that we have in place. I think everyone is well aware of what we're dealing with, which is not just a tropical storm wind maker, but it's also a rain maker, and going to lead to that flooding concern. Earlier today, I had the chance to talk with Lowndes County PIO, Megan, and she mentioned that, you know, looking ahead to the end of the week, once the rain ends even, there could be some concern for residual river flooding. And the Withlacoochee and the Little River, two rivers in particular in this area that they worry about, because sometimes the flooding happens after the rain ends and all the drainage gets into that basin. So just a heads up, if you live over that area, the Skipper's Bridge north of, about 84. That was the area that they told me about is the concern in this region. But that's, I think that's an example of what a lot of folks need to be worried about. The fact that we have so much rain that's expected to fall through this week in South Georgia, in northern Florida, and the flooding that could result from it. Be safe.
Breathing Claritin Clear is like...
All the pretty girls walk like this. Is he?
Claritin Clear? Yeah. Fast relief of allergies with nasal congestion so you can breathe better. Claritin plus decongestant. Live Claritin Clear.
Excuse me, can I get this?
ไม่ได้กินไม่ไหวหรอกฝรั่งไหนก็กินกันเอาเมนูมันเผ็ดเกินไปสำหรับคุณ
Try me.
Ooh.
What?
This isn't Charmin. No wonder I don't feel as clean.
Here's Charmin Ultra Strong.
Ah, my bottom's been saved.
With its diamond weave texture, Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better with fewer sheets and less effort. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
This will be a gold mine of local
So
income.
tell us about this corn festival.
Oh, you got your corn pudding.
So is it safe around here?
Sometimes.
No eyebrows?
Think of how light it'll feel in the summer. We gotta run. 11,000 more neighborhoods to go.
Ding dong.
Homes.com.
Whether you're doing it yourself or hiring a pro, today, let's paint. Exclusively at the Home Depot.
Over 13 million Americans were affected by identity theft in 2022. And the threats go way beyond just credit card fraud. Today's identity thieves can open loans, transfer home titles, and even commit crimes in your name.
Someone got my social security number, made a driver's license, and was used for criminal activity.
Your information is exposed through online shopping, banking, even corporate data breaches. No wonder there's a new victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. Only LifeLock alerts you to the widest volume of threats all in one place.
I clicked, that's not me, and LifeLock took it from there.
If you become a victim, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix the issue. All LifeLock members are backed by the LifeLock $1 Million Protection Package, including reimbursement for stolen funds.
I will be with LifeLock forever.
Enrollment takes just minutes. Call now or go online and use promo code GET25 to save 25% on your first year. Enroll now.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this.
Loan Falcon! There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
Your shipping manager left to find themselves, leaving you lost. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Indeed Instant Match instantly delivers quality candidates matching your job description. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
I'm always shopping the Real. They drop over 10,000 new arrivals every day.
Gucci, Rolex,
Prada,
Louis Vuitton,
Hermes, Cartier, Tiffany.
up to 90% off retail. Endless luxury. The Real. Shop now and get 20% off at therealreal.com. Terms apply.
Is Cialis Daily better than Viagra? Does it last longer than Viagra? Are trial packs available? Get started today with a 3-month trial pack if appropriate at TryRexMD.com.
92% of teachers have students whose families cannot afford any school supplies. Subaru and our retailers are there to help by giving millions of dollars in funding, along with school supplies students need. We call it the Subaru Love Promise, and we're proud to be the largest corporate supporter of AdoptAClassroom.org. It's just one of the reasons Forbes ranked Subaru the #1 automotive brand for social impact. Subaru, more than a car company.
We take you back to a few hours ago. Cedar Key, Florida, taking it on the chin. This is the storm surge in the area. Now, you might remember Cedar Key, same area hit hard by Idalia last year. Storm surge from that storm was 7 feet above normally dry ground. Here you can see that water rushing over the roadway. Our Reynolds Wolf has been monitoring the scene from Cedar Key. And Debby is now bringing heavy rain, flooding rain to parts of the southeast. We take live looks at both Charleston and Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. Could be South Carolina where some of the heaviest rain is focused in the coming days. Our meteorologist Chris Bruin is live right now in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Chris, this is a really popular spot with the end of summer travelers. A lot of folks from the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic do go to Myrtle Beach to celebrate those last few weeks of summer. This one could really rain on folks' vacation plans.
And that's the problem, Alex. This is not like a 1-2 day event. This is a week-long event, possibly even longer. And today's really the beginning. Now, weather is slowly deteriorating, but we've had a decently nice day. It's not nearly as hot. It's gotten cloudy, and we've seen a few light showers. Winds are light, but they are slowly picking up. There is quite a bit of wave action, though, and there actually are red flags flying, meaning the risk of rip currents is quite high. Still several folks in the water. In fact, when you gaze down the shore here, right in front of the boardwalk and the Sky Wheel, there's the 14th Street Pier, and it kind of gives you a good perspective of people trying to enjoy what's left of the week ahead of them. We talked to some families that just got in town, and they're trying to wonder, should they just go back? Should they relocate to a different area to enjoy their vacation, or should they stick it out? And that's hard to say because it's going to be a wet week. We're not talking the risk for showers in the afternoon. We're talking heavy rain almost continuously. There may be lulls, particularly tomorrow at times and into Wednesday. I want to walk you through the timing because today fairly quiet here in Myrtle Beach. Really start to see conditions go downhill tomorrow morning. So heavy rain. At times we could get some stronger squalls. We cannot forget about the risk for severe weather, including tropical tornadoes. And then the flooding starts to really become an issue once you get the ground super saturated. When we pick up 2-3 inches in a very short period of time, that's when flooding will become a problem. And when you look at these rainfall rates, look at what the guidance is suggesting, these banding features that just train. And we've seen that in past tropical events, and that is a problem. So whether this intensifies or stays rather weak, whether it goes over land or eventually goes back over the water, that's less of an issue when it comes to the rainfall because regardless, it's going to be a wet system. And flooding, flash flooding, is going to be horrible. I think a lot of people here are very familiar with Hurricane Florence. While it did weaken by the time it got here, it stuck along the coast for several days, and freshwater flooding along the Lumber River near Lumberton and also just north of Myrtle Beach towards Conway was inundated for days and weeks. It was a slow disaster that took a long time for that water to recede, and we could see in some areas similar type rainfall totals, especially if the forecast continues to show what it's showing, a stalling out and just sitting off of the South Carolina coast. A good conservative estimate from now through Friday is about 10 to 12 inches, but we all know there will be spots that end up with much heavier amounts. It's hard to pinpoint exactly where those be, but think about 10 to 12 inches. It has been very wet in the Carolinas the past 3 to 4 weeks, so the ground is already saturated. Ponds are rather high. Rivers are pretty high. And Alex, aside from the flooding, we're going to have coastal issues as well, especially if this were to, go offshore just a little bit. That onshore push of flow at high tide could also cause overwash and coastal flooding that would enhance the flood factors here in Myrtle Beach and across South Carolina.
You point out there's a lot of issues, and even folks who say, oh, well, I'll stick it out and I'll just hang out on the rainy week, parts like Highway 17 may not be accessible, so you may truly be stuck in your beach house or condo for the week or your hotel. Chris Bruin, we're going to get back to him in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, as, a lot of people are preparing for, at the least, a beach bummer. At the worst, could be a really significant rainfall event. And then we look at the rainfall totals as we work our way into the Northeast for the second half of the week, the upcoming weekend. Could be looking at some very heavy rain along the Jersey Shore, out over parts of Long Island, southern sections of New England, including parts of southern Connecticut, southern Rhode Island, with a moderate rainfall possibility edging back towards even a Binghamton, back towards Hazleton, Pennsylvania, up towards Albany, and portions of the New England states where we have already been dealing with quite a bit of flooding. Heavy rain from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York. We've got disturbances moving along the jet stream. Remember, that jet stream retreated farther to to the north. So we don't have that significant tug to the north that we did over the last few days that allowed Debby to make the turn to the north. Now it's meandering, but by the weekend, the expectation is the jet stream will finally capture Debby, pull it off to the north. That would, however, string this out and bring us some really heavy rain as the storm weakens, but at that point accelerates to the northeast. So as it gets tugged, it pulls out, and then we've got rain showers up and down the 95 corridor. Very heavy rain likely along that 95 corridor from Richmond to D.C. to Philly to New York, even up to Boston and Portland. Quick shot of it, but heavy rain would set the stage for flash flooding issues in already soaked parts of the Northeast second half of the week.
Lowe's knows what a great assist can lead to.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
Wow.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing.
Geico can help cover cars, homes, motorcycles, and even accordions.
Pretty liberating knowing Geico can help insure our car. And with our home insurance, your accordion, too.
We're not the only ones out here taking advantage of Geico.
Smoking, Edna. You sure showed it.
That's your pickled peppers idea.
Whatever you need, from coverage to service, get more with Geico.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted, because when your Generac detects a power outage, it automatically powers up, giving your family the security and peace of mind they deserve.
We don't have to worry about whether we lose power or not. If the utility company does not come through, our Generac does.
After the hurricane happened, we just want to be prepared for anything.
8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
And owning a generator is easier than ever. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. Call or go online now to request your free quote.
T-Mobile's 5G network connects 100,000 Delta employees, so they can make every customer feel like they've arrived before they've left the ground. This is how business goes further with T-Mobile for Business.
Got brush piles? Devour them fast with a DR chipper shredder. You'll chip and shred with power to spare, because DR's big engines beat the competition. There's a full line of DR chippers and chipper shredders, and they're all built USA tough.
Shop the sale today. All DR chipper models are on sale and free shipping is in effect. Hurry, this offer won't last. That's drchipper.com.
If your car's out of warranty, your next breakdown could cost thousands, unless you have Endurance.
They covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
Just 2 claims saved us over $1,700.
I've had 5 claims, and that is $3,500 that I've kept in my pocket.
So, who's going to pay for your next car repair? You or Endurance?
Call right now to get $300 off any plan. Call 1-833-415-6262 now.
The power of the Weather Channel, now available to everyone.
This is epic!
Trusted live coverage when it matters most is now yours to stream with the Weather Channel TV app, real-time radar, and maps that let you track all the action. Available now on these platforms. Download now to start your free 7-day trial.
The second hurricane of the season made landfall this morning in Steinhatchee, Florida, and now as a tropical storm, it is crawling over northern Florida and southern Georgia, dropping very heavy rain, and it's so very spread out, too, with the outer bands and the outer reaches of the rain shield reaching all the way into South Carolina and, of course, all the way down still through the Florida Peninsula. We are dealing with some of those bands of showers and storms, bringing with them all the threats, the heavy rainfall, the strong gusty winds, as well as that isolated tornado risk as well. Now here in Valdosta, Georgia, it has mainly been about the rain and the winds that have been about 40 to 50, close to 60 miles per hour at times. Right now, latest gust at Valdosta Regional was at 35 miles per hour, and we're getting obs every 20 minutes, so great observations coming out of there. We've had peak wind gusts as high as 57 miles per hour earlier, 55 just about an hour ago. And this is the kind of weather you're in for the rest of the day. We're going to see these gusty winds. We're going to watch for the heavy rain. The heaviest of rain is actually to our south. And so I need everyone to be ready to know that even larger rainfall rates may come, and that may be what drives some flash flooding. Right now, it seems like we've been doing pretty good here with the flash flood situation here in Valdosta, but I know south of us in northern Florida, it is not the same. You've been in the bigger rainfall rates, getting inches per hour, and that's where we have more than 12 to 15 inches. Everything is pretty much shut down for the day. Thankfully here, it started off that way this morning, and so hopefully keeps traffic at a minimum and keeps people at home, which is really the safest way to be during a storm like this and not putting any risk out there being on the roads. We know accident rates go up on rainy days. It just happens. And Mike, I'll send it back into you. I know it's been bothering you guys that the sign is down. And I'll tell you, I have moved it back up a few times, but this wind, the east wind, keeps blowing it right back down again. So nothing I can do about it. When the storm
What
is
is
over,
it that you
we'll
say, Jen? There's nothing good about an east wind.
And see, case in point.
I get it. And God bless you, man. It is gonna rain and rain and rain on us here in South Georgia. You take a look at the latest advisory of Tropical Storm Debby. Winds are down a little bit more, and the forward speed's down just a notch as well. 65 mile per hour winds right now, moving north-northeast at 7 miles per hour, so it's really starting to crawl at this point. Look at that heavy rain there. Right at the state line of Florida and Georgia. Some heavier bands now working their way up into South Carolina as well. We are in this for several more days, unfortunately. Very concerned near that center of circulation for the heavy rain that's come down here in North Florida, Columbia, Hamilton, and Suwannee counties with a flash flood emergency. And the reason being, we've had more than a foot of rain that's come down for us just today in places like Lake City or just outside of Lake City. That heavy rain is not going anywhere because that low is just sitting there and spinning and just barely moving along. And so this rain is barely moving along. A lot of flood and wind reports around that center. Here's a look at the thunderstorm threat for the rest of the day. Includes Tampa, Orlando with some squally bands south of the circulation, and then the bands on the north side. Couldn't even rule out maybe a brief chance for a tornado touchdown as well. Torcon is as high as a 3 for us today. We saw a handful of tornado warnings yesterday. But Dr. Knapp, from this point going forward, yes, there'll be some surge. Yes, there'll be a little bit of wind, and there'll definitely going to be some rain out of this system. That's going to last for a long time.
And this rain could, in a bona fide way, be very life-threatening.
Yes.
And we can't discount what Debby is capable of doing as it slows down even more. 7 miles an hour is fast compared to what it's going to be doing over the next few days. And we've got the pink areas here showing 12 to 18 inches of rainfall forecast. The locally higher amounts could be much higher. Local spots could get 20 to 30 inches of rainfall. We're going to be measuring this in feet, not just inches. And this yellow line could be misleading because it may not follow that exact path, may meander around. But it is worth mentioning that the forward speed from tonight into tomorrow morning is only about 4 or 5 miles an hour. And then in the entire 24-hour period, from Wednesday morning to Thursday morning, it's moving only at 1 to 2 miles an hour on average. Could slow down. And this is only about 5, 6 miles an hour into Friday. That is category slow. That could be devastating rainfall. And we don't necessarily know how much time it will spend over water. It could spend a little bit of time, then come back on land. So it could get a little stronger if it spends that time over water. But then all the way into Friday is when it will finally get toward North Carolina. So we've got the multiple day high risk of inland flooding. This is just through tomorrow morning. And then you go tomorrow night into Wednesday morning, Savannah, one of the many areas that will have 2 consecutive days of that high risk. But then on tomorrow, it will include Charleston and Myrtle Beach. And then you go Wednesday night into Thursday morning, Charleston, Myrtle Beach in it as well.
Subway's offering 20% off any sub, any size. Woo! 20% off subs is fun to say. 20% off subs are fun to eat. You'll love 20% off subs. The point is, any sub, any size. 20% off at Subway.
Inez, let me ask you. You're using Head & Shoulders, right?
Only when I see flakes. Then I switch back to my regular shampoo.
You should use it every wash. Otherwise, the flakes will come back.
He's right, you know.
Is that Tiny Troy?
The ingredients in Head & Shoulders keep the microbes that cause flakes that big.
Microbes, really?
They're always on your scalp. But good news, there's no itchiness, dryness, or flakes down here.
I love Tiny Troy and his tiny, gorgeous hair.
Make every wash count.
And for stubborn dandruff, try Head & Shoulders Clinical Strength.
Someone needs to customize and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Wait, there's an elevator?
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This summer is the perfect time to get away with a great deal on your favorite Hyundai models. All backed by America's best warranty, plus 3 years or 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. Add more joy to your journey. Hurry into the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. But act fast. The hottest deals of the summer won't last. Get in and get away now. Now for a limited time. Get 1.99% APR for 60 months on the Hyundai Tucson or Elantra. Hurry in to the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event.
What's up with your dad, Chloe?
Ever since he got AT&T's best deal on the new Samsung Galaxy, he's been up on his high horse.
Best deal got me feeling like a big old cowboy.
That's a very high horse. Perhaps you can wait in the waiting room?
I'll just go wait in the waiting room.
Ride high with AT&T's best deal on the new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6.
Whoa, it's the Capital One Bank guy.
That's me.
So, what do you do outside of the Capital One Cafe?
What do you mean? No fees on checking accounts and no overdraft fees help me sleep at night. What's in your wallet?
In my business, it's easy to tell whether someone's done the work. Me, I always stay prepared, like how I got a plan through CarShield before my car broke down. And CarShield administrators are the experts at getting expensive repair bills paid.
Call CarShield today. Plans through CarShield pay for expensive repairs on up to 5,000 parts and systems in your car when they break down, including your engine, transmission, and even your electronics.
It's so easy to be prepared for the worst, especially if you've called the best. CarShield, America's #1 auto protection company. They have a network of certified repair technicians. They make the repair process as easy as possible.
CarShield administrators go the extra mile by including coast-to-coast 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, and rental car auctions included.
This is important. You have to call before your car breaks down, or it's too late.
Protect yourself from expensive car repairs. Call 800-498-3209.
This is Protection, the everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Off, the #1 best-selling mosquito repellent brand. Everything. Off, prevention is the best protection. SC Johnson.
We are, of course, keeping a very close eye on Debby right here on Weather Unfiltered. Thanks for being with us. I'm Mike Bettis.
I'm Alex Wilson, also joined by our hurricane expert, former director of the National Hurricane Center, Dr. Rick Knabb. We are post-landfall here with what was Hurricane Debby, now back to a tropical storm, but we are by no means done with this. We could be talking about this storm through the week. Historic flooding possible.
Yeah, so 2 big misconceptions we have to get past. One, landfall of a system is not necessarily the end, and for most of the most significant hazards we have to deal with, the landfall this morning is just the beginning of what could be a catastrophic, life-threatening, rain-induced flood event. Yeah. And also, let's not underestimate what a tropical storm can do. When it's barely going to be moving, it's going to take all of this work week to get through Georgia and the Carolinas.
Yeah, so we could be looking at persistent rain and persistent wind, and at some point, trees that may have been able to make a day or two may just find themselves vulnerable to that, fourth day of tropical storm force winds.
Yeah, and all that rain that falls in the southeast and the Carolinas is going to be trying to drain into the Atlantic Ocean, and the onshore flow of the storm surge is going to prevent that.
Yep.
So the water problems are really going to mount up in life-threatening ways.
A lot of issues, no doubt about that. Oh, and by the way, we've got about 300,000 customers without power in Florida and Georgia combined. Take a look at this. How about the sideways, wind-driven rain here in Cross City, Florida? Haven't had a lot of reports of a lot of wind damage. The winds have come down after landfall. We're down to about 65-mile-an-hour winds that made landfall with 80-mile-per-hour winds. The winds, will be a factor, right? But they won't be the overwhelming factor, we don't think.
No, we think it's going to be water. Dr. Nab, the awning says see you tomorrow, and hopefully, it might be a few days, because these roads, I think we're going to see more roads than not inaccessible.
Yes, and we've already got some closed roads, and, the Category 1 hurricane landfall, it may never get this strong again, but I think more people will be in a greater, life-threatening situation than when we had a hurricane, as we deal with what could be a mid-grade tropical storm near the coast of the southeast for days. So we can't underestimate what a tropical storm is capable of doing.
Too many times we've seen these slow-moving systems dump rain over areas. We look at the picture right now on the radar, and the rain has been coming down in buckets across parts of North Florida, across Georgia, and soon enough across South Carolina.
Yeah, you see where that center of circulation is, right? Well, along that center of circulation, especially the east and north side of that, some places have already picked up a foot of rain.
Yeah, even more than a foot. And before the center moves by, a couple places could get nearly 2 feet. And the rain that is starting in Georgia and South Carolina, it's going to last for days. We could have water rescues. We could have flooded communities and homes. And if people don't stay off the roads, I fear how many lives we could lose. We got to stay off the roads, Alex.
We've seen this happen too much in recent years. Other storms come to mind. We saw the disaster from Joaquin, of course, Florence, Harvey, slow-moving tropical systems that became known for the rainfall they produced in areas. Tallahassee, St. Simon's Island, Jacksonville, and Charleston, South Carolina, all locations where we've got live looks, and none of them are pretty. I think Charleston has the most daylight, but you can see some showers that have been rolling through parts of Duval County getting soaked. Dr. Nab, the speed we've got now, expecting that very slow motion once it gets over the southeast coastline. So we could be looking at very little movement for days.
Yeah, and Alex, you were mentioning some of these past events that produced tremendous flooding and took a lot of lives. The 2015 event associated with Joaquin, nearly 20 lives lost. Florence, nearly 20 lives lost, all due to rain-induced flooding. So if you don't think Debby is dangerous as a tropical storm, you are seriously underestimating it, because this forward speed that's 7 miles an hour now it's tapping on the brakes, and it's going to keep slowing down, and it's just going to be a crawl near the southeast coast. So the rain that is beginning is not just going to be annoying for days, it's going to be life-threatening. And we're already starting to see some significant flooding here in northern Florida. Now, the tropical storm warnings have been discontinued here, for the Tampa area, but they're up all the way into Charleston. And there's at least a slight chance they might have to put up hurricane watch if it spends more time over water. But for now, we're thinking tropical storm conditions. And also, Tampa Bay area no longer under this storm surge warning, but you've got that storm surge warning up. And this is significant. This might not be evacuation level storm surge for the coast of Georgia and South Carolina in its own right, but that onshore push is going to keep the rain-induced flooding from draining. So this is just the beginning of a multi-day high-risk event. So the saltwater and the freshwater are going to combine forces, and some people might eventually need to evacuate or get rescued from their homes if too much rain falls in that area. And we're already getting way too much rain here in the Big Bend area, Florida inland area, and this is where the most rain has fallen. We've already gotten more than a foot of rain here in the Live Oak, Columbia, Hamilton, and Suwannee County areas where we've got a flash flood emergency. You got to get to high ground right now. Only get in your car if you're fleeing flooding, and only dial 911 if your life is in danger. But whatever you do, get out of the water, stay out of the water in that zone where we could get another half a foot of rain and approach 2 feet in that zone. I'll go back to that area in a little bit, but I wanted to highlight the fact that we still have rain-induced flood problems in the Tampa Bay area down to Sarasota with this flood warning until 5:45, and numerous reports, including a few recent ones here in the Bloomingdale area, of flooding on the roads near the Alfea River in Valrico, Florida. So a lot of problems far away from the center. Now, surrounding this flash flood emergency, there are other flash flood warnings over a pretty large area. Going farther west on I-10 in the Madison area, this warning goes till 3:45, a considerable threat on that one. Valdosta, I-75 corridor, north of Florida border, flash flood warning for a little while longer. It's still raining heavily there. And then Jasper, Lake City going east of I-10. That area is under a flash flood warning until 3:45. And then look at the area, the big area here where the rain is starting. And this is going to be an area that gets flash flood warnings, maybe flash flood emergencies later today or tonight or tomorrow morning, because this business end of the storm is moving into southeastern Georgia, and especially after dark. That heavy rain through the Brunswick area up to Savannah tonight into tomorrow morning, that's where we've got the high risk. So we could have more flash flood emergencies, Alex, and this is just day and night number 1 of 3 consecutive days and nights of high risk from flash flooding.
Yeah, this is a persistent and very elevated threat. I want to bring in meteorologist Stephanie Abrams. She is live in Savannah, Georgia. Dr. Knabb just highlighting that risk from Brunswick up towards Savannah here in the coming hours. Already raining, and we know heavier rain yet to come.
And here's the thing, Alex, we're already seeing some flooding here in Savannah, on the south side of Savannah. There, we've seen video of some neighborhoods that are starting to retain water. While you're driving around Savannah like we were doing today, we were in Tybee Island earlier, it's just kind of that puddling up on the side of the road that you hit it and you get that huge spray and you're all like, whoa! So that's already started, and we haven't even gotten to the meat of this storm. And according to the Savannah city manager, they can get about 2 to 2.5 inches of rain an hour, and then the streets will start flooding. So they can manage about 2.5 inches an hour. But as everyone's been talking about, this is a long duration event. And we have seen the rain since this morning, and we'll continue to stay in it. Conditions are going to get worse here as we head into the overnight hours, and then into tomorrow. We could actually be in the center of this system. We could be in the eye of this tropical storm here. But the problem is that we're going to get probably double-digit rainfall here from Savannah up towards Charleston area. In the last couple of weeks, we have actually had 3 rounds of heavy rain where they've had to do rescues. So their water table is plenty full here. And of course, here in the Savannah district, their stormwater system is, quote, undersized overall for this type of a very heavy rainfall event that's going to come in. But the showers have been consistent all day. You'll get heavier rain that will fall. Then it will be a little bit lighter. This is about as light as it gets. And then you can get some of those very stronger downpours that you really got to run for it and don't want to be outside. That's not the only thing. We can see winds 40, 50 miles an hour. Now think about it. We have saturated grounds anywhere from here to Charleston. We're like 1 to 6 inches above average for the year. You're getting fresh water on top of that, shallow root systems. You have winds 40, 50 miles an hour. That could certainly take down some trees, take down some power lines, maybe even have trees fall on houses. So think of that as you go into the evening hours. I don't like that we're going to get some of that heaviest rain as we head into the overnight hours here, but this will continue again, even tomorrow. If we happen to be in the eye for a while, you still have the backside of the system that is going to deliver some rain. So this is going to be a long duration event for us here, not only coastal Georgia, but also the inland areas as well. And that goes for South Carolina, and then also just the onshore push of water. We saw what that did in places like Fort Myers, where the storm was well offshore. And Mike, just for a little hurricane history for you, they call this area Dodge City because we're in that little like cubby and that little nook here in Georgia, so we get missed by a lot of storms. The last direct hit was David in 1979. Remember, it came up the east coast of Florida into Savannah.
It's been a very long time. There are just other coastlines that are a little bit more vulnerable because they stick out a little bit more. Steph, thank you so much. And as she mentioned, it is going to rain for days, unfortunately, and those days of rain could be life-threatening for you. Take a look at the amount that's still to come. In some of these spots, the forecast may actually be underdone, all right? There are some pockets in there. You see the pink of 12 to 18 with higher amounts in the forecast. The red area in there is 8 to 12, which is a huge number, right? 2 to 3 times, 2 to 3 months worth of rain in 2 to 3 or 4 days, and that's a lot. In this orange area, On a normal forecast, we'd say, man, it is going to really rain. 5 to 8 inches of rain in 3 different states. That's incredible. And also keep in mind, eastern North Carolina in particular has had a lot of rain in recent weeks, and so we're predisposed to flooding with this kind of forecast. We've got flood watches in effect here. Fort Myers, Tampa, Charleston, Augusta, Jacksonville, Tallahassee, Savannah, and all points in between. We're watching for significant rain to come out of this, and at times you might get rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches an hour, and that could go on for several hours in a row. It's going to be diabolical in some instances. High risk for flooding here around Charleston, Savannah, Valdosta, down towards Cedar Key, and nicking you there in Jacksonville. Think a bit about this. The percent of yearly flood damages that we see in this country because of flooding is big, right? But 83% of the damage that we see from flooding is on a high-risk day. I just showed you where the high-risk location is. And then we talk about tomorrow into Wednesday. Similar spots here, Myrtle Beach, Charleston, and Savannah. Here's a look at where the center of circulation is about right now. It's going to sit right about there, all right? Now, let's go forward in time. Let's take it to tomorrow afternoon. Now, the center of circulation is probably about right in there or so. We'll estimate it with a circle. Now, let's take it through to Wednesday. Where's the center of circulation? About right there-ish, okay? So that's how little it has moved over the course of about 3 days. Again, it went from here to here, here to here, and you see the triangle here. I mean, there's just hardly any movement out of this, so the same spots get rained on over and over and over again. One of those spots could be Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I know a lot of times, Chris Bruin, we're talking about a hurricane that's going to come crashing in and hit us on our beaches here. That may not necessarily be the case this time around. It's going to be an onshore flow, no doubt about that, and that's going to pile up the water at the beaches. May watch for some erosion there, but the rainfall more than anything else makes us a sitting duck there in Myrtle Beach.
And that's the battle. That's the problem. I remember in Florence, Wilmington was essentially cut off. Even the interstates outside of the city where you had to cross those river basins were completely submerged by water. And we may be in a similar type of setup with the kind of rainfall we could see from Debby. So think about that if you're deciding on whether you want to stay. Getting out, if you have to get back in 5 days from now, could be very difficult. And with freshwater flooding, it doesn't kind of go up and come down very quickly. It's river flooding. It lasts days and sometimes over a week or two after Debby even is done. So that is something to also figure out. Wind will be dependent upon what it does as the center stay over land and continue to keep it relatively weak as far as the winds go. The rainfall is the same regardless, or does it go back out and intensify over the Atlantic and just off the coast, which would be kind of a worst case scenario for parts of South Carolina. Either way, we're looking at an intense rainmaker. And in Myrtle Beach today, we've done fairly well. The clouds have come in through the morning. We've seen a little bit of light sprinkles, and this is probably the steadiest it's been raining. Just very light rain, it's almost refreshing. That will be changing though. In fact, there's Myrtle Beach behind me. I want to take you over here. There's still plenty of people out trying to enjoy probably the best day of the week. This is probably it as far as the quietness for Myrtle Beach. But notice the dark skies on the horizon, 10 to 25 miles to our south and to our west. That is where the bands from some of the heavier rain lie, and that's quickly starting to approach. So overnight tonight, the weather will quickly go downhill, and I think starting tomorrow morning, we are in it for the long haul, Dr. Nab. And I'm concerned that even if we never get the center of circulation here in the Grand Strand, although that's always a possibility, the forecast is still dicey 3, 4, 5 days out, the banding features that could shape up here in northern South Carolina, parts of North Carolina, could be persistent for hour after hour after hour, and that's what we got to watch really closely here in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, and Chris, in a couple days, maybe it stalls right offshore and you're getting the persistent onshore flow and the rainfall. The saltwater and freshwater problems could really mount up in a place like Myrtle Beach, where you've already got the risk of rip currents. So even if the weather is not terrible, we could lose people in rip currents if we're not careful. Please only swim at guarded beaches. And the storm surge is still occurring here on the Gulf Coast of Florida, and it will be increasing on the southeast coast. And 2 to 3, 4 feet of saltwater flooding above normally dry ground might might not raise your eyebrows, might not in itself cause evacuation level type storm surge, but you combine that with the heavy rainfall that's going to occur, and we're going to have significant flooding along the coast. This is only going to be moving 1 or 2 miles an hour off the coast here. And you've got tropical storm warnings there in Charleston, but wind might not be the worst part of this. It may be the water that is the biggest problem by far for Charleston and vicinity.
If you have heart failure, entrust your heart to Entresto. Entresto helps improve your heart's ability to pump blood to the body. Don't take Entresto if pregnant. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. And don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or aliskiren, or if you've had angioedema with an ACE or ARB. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high blood potassium. Ask your doctor about Entresto for heart failure. Novartis may help you save on your prescription.
Whether you're a professional driver or just a fan, vehicle breakdowns are costly.
It started tugging. It started making some really weird noises. The last thing I remember is just the engine cut out.
If your check engine light comes on tomorrow, the repair could easily cost thousands.
Is that transmission? It's an exhaust leak. Broken axles.
But with Endurance, you could never pay out of pocket for a costly repair again.
They covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
I had a seat sensor that went out, $1,400. Endurance paid it.
We got a brand new transmission, and we never seen the repair bill.
Use any certified mechanic you want. Just bring your car in, and Endurance will pay them direct. All major parts are covered.
What I like about Endurance, they don't play games, there's no middleman. They're a solid company.
If I didn't have Endurance, I would have paid over $7,000 out of pocket to repair my vehicle.
Something is going to break down. Make Endurance pay for it.
One claim alone saved me more than $4,000. I've had 5 claims, and that is $3,500 that I've kept in my pocket.
So, who's going to pay for your next car repair? You or Endurance?
Call right now to get $300 off any plan, plus a full year of our top-tier elite benefits, a $2,000 value free. And all Endurance plans come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. But you have to act now.
Geico can help when you're locked out with their easy app and 24/7 help.
Dad, you don't have to make this so tough on yourself. Geico can help us get into our locked car. See?
Yeah, but where's the fun of that? Maybe I'm just nostalgic for the good old days. Before we had Geico's great coverage and 24/7 help.
All set, guys.
Oh. Let's go again.
Whatever you need, from coverage to service, get more with Geico.
You know, if you were cash back and you could earn on everything with just one card, Chase Freedom Unlimited. So if you're off the racking or crab cracking, you're cash backing. Cash back on flapjacks, baby backs, or tacos at the taco shack.
Nah, I'm working on my 6-pack.
Switch to a king suite.
Or book a silent retreat.
Silent retreat? Oh, hold up. Yeah, I can't talk right now. I'm at a silent retreat. Cash back on everything you buy with Chase Freedom Unlimited with no annual fee. How do you cash back? Chase, make more of what's yours.
Watch the Weather Channel for ongoing coverage of Debby. Get trusted updates only on the Weather Channel and the Weather Channel TV app.
Pop quiz. StockX is all about the sneakers, streetwear, apparel, accessories, all of the above. From the greatest grails to the latest trends, everything you need is here. Plus, you can trust that every order is StockX verified, backed up by a buyer promise. Ace your style. Level up your back-to-school shopping at StockX. Start shopping today at StockX.com.
Are you certain that's just the wind? Mm-hmm. Are you for imprint certain?
Certainty matters. When you order promo products for your next event, you'll need to be absolutely certain they arrive on time. That's why you choose 4imprint. Experts who'll get it done right. Delivered on time, guaranteed. Count on certainty at 4imprint.com.
4imprint for certain.
The power of the Weather Channel, now available to everyone.
This is epic!
Trusted live coverage when it matters most is now yours to stream with the Weather Channel TV app, real-time radar, and maps that let you track all the action.
Let's get into the detail.
Personalization, customization, hundreds of hours of your favorite shows, and so much more. There's never been a better way for everyone to watch the Weather Channel. Available now on these platforms. Download now to start your free 7-day trial.
I'm meteorologist Stephanie Abrams live in Savannah, Georgia, and this is one of those heavier downpours that I was just talking about, how we get something like this, then it lightens up a little bit, even some stronger winds you can see on the Savannah River. We actually have some white caps already that are kicking off, and you can see it is quite turbulent there in the water. Speaking of water, I want to talk about how the changing climate is changing not only hurricanes, but also rainfall rates. And, you know, we are expecting double-digit rainfall totals, 10, 11, 12 inches, maybe even 24 inches plus. And that is going to be anywhere from Georgia up towards South Carolina, and we'll get some heavier showers also into North Carolina. With a 2% global temperature rainfall rates, 2% global temperature rise, rainfall rates are projected to increase by 15% in tropical cyclones and also in hurricanes. We also have to talk about the surge, because that has been a big deal on the west coast of Florida, and we're expecting a 2 to 4 foot surge here along the southeast coast. So how will that change with our changing climate? Well, it is anticipated that due to that sea level rise, surge events will actually increase by 2 to 3 feet by the year 2100, which will, of course, cause even more damage. Now, as we know, this system, it was moving at 10, 12 miles an hour as it was coming ashore. It has dropped down to about 7 miles an hour, and it will continue to slow. And if we look at past hurricanes that have slowed down, of course, Harvey sticks out for a lot of people that just sat over Houston and rained out. And some research actually does suggest that future hurricanes may move slower as the world continues to warm. And we are going to top it off here with the flooding. That's going to be a huge problem with this storm. In fact, that will be grabbing all the headlines, will be the flooding versus the wind here. And during the most recent 10-year period in the U.S., about 57% of direct tropical cyclone deaths were due to freshwater flooding, which would be rainfall flooding like this. So, Dr. Knabb, we're starting to see, you know, some of those calling card signs of how the climate is changing our tropical cyclones around the world.
Yeah, and Steph, I think the one that really sticks out to me in recent years is the data already showing that it's already happening, that tropical storms and hurricanes are moving more slowly near North America. And Florence 2018 was just another example in this part of the country that Debby is going to be spending several days in.
And let's talk a little bit more about that if we can, Dr. Knabb, because this system is going to slow because there's nothing really to push it around. How does the changing climate help slow the forward speed of these systems?
Well, a lot of it has to do with higher latitude, you know, farther north ridges, you know, areas of high pressure. Instead of there being stronger troughs that pull these systems up and move them quickly up the East Coast and recurve out into the North Atlantic, you know, higher latitude northern ridging is, you know, slamming on the brakes to these systems and preventing them from exiting. And that's exactly what's going to happen with Debby. Another ridge is going to build in and actually slow it down and bend it back to the left. You know, Sandy had that sort of northern latitude ridging that bent it to the left in an anomalous way. And, you know, even systems that are recurving are doing so more slowly. So this category slow phenomenon is becoming a bigger and bigger life-threatening water problem.
And of course, as we know, water is the #1 killer when it comes to tropical cyclones. If you add up the surge, if you add up the fresh water, that's really where a majority of the deaths come from and the destruction. And so if we see not only the higher surge because of the rising sea levels, the more rainfall rates, I mean, it just seems like it's an absolute recipe for disaster.
It is, and that's why we've got to be a little more afraid of water than we often are. We've got to be a little more afraid of tropical storms than we often are. When you consider, Steph, that freshwater flooding alone caused nearly 20 fatalities each in Florence in 2018, and that Joaquin associated rain-induced flood event in South Carolina in 2015. Both of those, nearly 20 deaths each. So we've got to do everything we can to save people from driving their cars onto water-covered roadways, and water rescues might be necessary over the next few days.
And I want to talk about the water rescues because we've already had them with this system in Florida. And as it moves up into this area, we could be seeing historic, potentially catastrophic rainfall. And I want to mention the record rainfall from a tropical cyclone in Georgia was from a tropical storm, which was Alberto. I believe it was in '94, if my memory serves me correct.
Yep, and South Carolina and North Carolina state records have to do with Florence, and we could have amounts rivaling the rainfall from Florence again this week.
When is my allergy spray gonna kick in?
You need Astapro.
Astapro?
It's faster, bro. 8 times faster than Flonase.
It's faster, bro.
It's faster, bro!
It's faster, bro.
It's mom to you.
Astapro starts working in 30 minutes. Astapro and go.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
Wow.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing.
I'm Martha Stewart, and this is one of my new kittens. Of course, I want to give them the happiest, healthiest life possible, which is why I choose Pretty Litter. We love this litter because it's tough on odor and helps keep tabs on their health by changing color to show high, low, and typical pH levels. Pretty Litter is also low dust. And whether you're a new cat parent or a lifelong cat lover like me, this low-maintenance litter is the game changer. Try it today. Go to prettylitter.com.
Struggling with moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis? Talk to your doctor about #1 prescribed Entyvio, offering 2 maintenance options, including the Entyvio pen. Infusion and serious allergic reactions can happen during or after treatment. Entyvio may increase risk of infection, which can be serious. PML, a rare, potentially fatal brain infection, cannot be ruled out. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, sores, or are prone to infections. Liver problems can occur. Entyvio, relief, remission for real.
A promise is a trust not to be broken. Whether spoken with an oath,
Do solemnly swear.
It's your first day. You know I got your back, right?
or sealed with a pinky. In 1922, a group of soldiers launched USAA with a promise to take care of their own. And after 100 years, we're still taking care of the military community and their families. That's our mission, always.
Super Beats has changed my life.
To know that I'm using a product from nature that helps me maintain good blood pressure, it's a win-win.
I don't know of any other compound in the body that has such far-ranging effects.
Super Beats by Human is the #1 cardiologist-recommended beat brand for heart health support.
Yeah, Super Beats is a game changer.
It gets me through my tough days.
Join the millions of people who have put Super Beats heart health support supplements to the test.
I want to be a present dad, and so for me to have the energy to stay up with my 5 kids, I need Super Beats.
It'll give you that sense of well-being. It'll give you that sense of energy, that sense, hey, I want to go and conquer the world.
And this is what comes from the increased blood flow.
I could live without Super Beats, but I wouldn't want to.
1, 2, 3, yeah. Discover what Super Beats by Human can do for you. With our clinically studied plant-based formula, you too can harness the power of nature's most incredible source of blood pressure and heart-healthy energy support. Get started with a free month supply plus free shipping on all bundles at superbeats.com.
How am I gonna find a doctor when I'm hallucinating?
What about ZocDoc?
So many options.
Yeah, and Dr. She-chan even takes your sketchy insurance. She-chan.
You've got more options than you know. Book now.
Your record label is taking off, but so is your sound engineer. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Indeed Instant Match instantly delivers quality candidates matching your job description. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
This bakery needs new equipment fast to keep up with demand. So they're going to OnDeck, the online lender that makes it easy to choose your loan and if approved, get funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
All right, you are watching Weather Unfiltered. We are tracking Tropical Storm Debby. Meteorologist Mike Bettis, I'm Alex Wilson. Dr. Nav in the house with us as well. We got you covered with a storm that's going to be with us throughout the week. It's made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane, but we got a way to go.
We're going to get really tired of the name Debby.
Yes.
You're going to hear us say it over and over and over again. It's going to stick around probably the entire week, producing a lot of heavy rain from Florida up through Virginia, if not beyond.
Yeah, I mean, we could be talking about rainfall amounts 15, 20, 25 plus inches by the time all is said and done. So our teams are out there to bring you the latest on the roads. Of course, we've got expert analysis here in the studio, continuing coverage on the Weather Channel. Charles Peak, our storm tracker, he is out in Glynn County and Georgia. And this is what we talk about when we talk about tropical downpours. It becomes nearly impossible at times to see because your windshield wipers can't keep up. Visibilities can drop to near nothing at times. And you get into some of these bands, you can't make out the lines on the roads or those barriers along the side. So at times, it's like you're driving blind on these interstates. So, Mike, we have heard from so many public officials recommending folks stay off the roads. Unfortunately, falling trees have already claimed lives, and we don't want to see more of that. We know it's a possibility, though, with heavy rain and at least tropical storm force winds still to come.
You know, I look at this picture, too, and I think of all kinds of things. Like, I think about, do I have good tread on my tires? I think about, am I towing something like a boat?
Yeah.
Am I driving a big rig? You know, all these things can be very dangerous to do this week.
And like snow squalls, when you've got tropical systems, you can see those visibilities drop off at the drop of a hat. So you can be going from a condition like this to a near zero visibility in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, this may actually be decent visibility compared to what we might see at some point today or the next couple of days. All right, let's bring you the very latest here on Tropical Storm Debby. The winds have come down a bit, 65-mile-per-hour tropical storm, north-northeast movement at 7. So it's slowing down here, folks. At 10 miles northwest of Live Oak, Florida, and you can see where the heavy rain is centered around that center of circulation. You got banding that's happening here, banding down through Florida. Chance for severe storms is possible in those areas. That could even include some brief tornado touchdowns. Right now, about 240,000 customers in Florida without power, and about 22,000 for us in Georgia. Number kind of just slightly for you in South Carolina, but numbers are not big, thank goodness. That could, though, change in maybe the next 24 hours. Tropical storm warning still remains in effect here. It does not include Tampa and Sarasota any longer. Does include the Big Bend area all the way up through Brunswick, Savannah, Valdosta, Charleston, South Carolina as well. Look at the heavy rain shield right around that center, right? Then heavy rain coming up through Georgia now, banding occurring up here through South Carolina. A lot of wind reports, flooding reports occurring for us in Florida. Flash flood emergency here in Columbia, Hamilton, and Suwannee counties until 6:15. In Branford, in Dowling Park, in Live Oak. These are places where you have life-threatening flooding occurring right now. This is just outside of Lake City, but Lake City's also had some tremendous rain. We're under a flash flood warning in these areas. Look at the rainfall estimates here. 12 inches plus. Live Oak Emergency Management reporting here flooding of structures and homes countywide and vehicles stranded. Let this be your warning. Don't let this be you, Alex. Stay off the roads.
Yeah, that's what officials in the states of Georgia, South Carolina are already telling their constituents. Meteorologist Stephanie Abrams is live in Savannah. That Brunswick to Savannah corridor going to be a spot to watch here in the coming hours. High risk of flash flooding. These are not issued often, Stephanie, but they oftentimes account for some of the worst problems.
That they do. And here's the thing. This system is going to be approaching us from the west. And it's like, hang on a second. How is something approaching us from inland? I mean, we could get the eye. It looks like if all stays as is, we are going to get the eye of this tropical storm. Now, I don't think it'll be super clear, but we will have those calmer winds and calmer conditions in the center of this circulation. And it's, you know, one of these areas that we don't necessarily get a lot of direct hits. Do we consider this one a direct hit? I'm going to have to ask Dr. Nav that question. But a lot of people here talk about Matthew. It's about 30 miles off the coast, and it did a lot of damage here. Everyone talks about how, you know, Tybee got, you know, a lot of damage there. There was power outages, 140,000 people without power, and they spent $22 million cleaning up from that storm. Unfortunately, this one, it's not going to be wind but rain, and there could be a lot of cleanup to do in several days.
There's no one way to power up, as long as Ford is your starting line. Because more important than the power you choose is what you choose to do with it. Gas, hybrid, or all electric, the power is yours.
Power outages can be unpredictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life, posing a real threat to your family's comfort and safety. When the power goes out, you have no lights, no refrigeration, no heating or air conditioning.
The winds are not letting up at all here. We're going to see some power outages. The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages.
Are you prepared? You can be with a Generac home standby generator. When a power outage occurs, your Generac home standby generator automatically powers up using your home's existing natural gas or propane, so your life goes on without disruption. You and your family are comfortable, safe, and secure. Stay tuned to get over a $500 value free on the most popular home standby generator in the world.
With the Generac, we don't have to worry about whether we lose power or not. If the utility company does not come through, our Generac does.
Having a Generac takes a lot of the anxiety out of there's going to be a storm.
After the hurricane happened, we just want to be prepared for anything.
Generac generators are designed, engineered, and built in the USA. 8 out of 10 home generators are Generac and have thousands of satisfied customers.
How many times have you heard people say, I never want to go through that again? Well, the next time that you go through it, don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
Call or go online now to request your free quote with one of Generac's nationwide dealers. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. The call is free, the quote is free, and there's no obligation to buy. Call or go online now, so the next time there's a power outage, your home powers up. Power your life with Generac. Call or go online to request your free quote today.
You've got a Pepto predicament, Ace. You overdid it on the loaded fries, and now your gut is in the gutter. Undo it with Pepto Fast Melts, so you can keep on rolling. When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto-Bismol.
Lowe's knows what a great assist can be to.
You founded your kayak company because you love the ocean, not spreadsheets. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Indeed Instant Match instantly delivers quality candidates matching your job description. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this.
Loan cannon!
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
And here we go. Your consumer cellular tower.
I didn't know they built towers.
They don't. Consumer Cellular uses the same towers as Big Wireless, but then passes the savings on to you.
So I get the same fast nationwide coverage if I switch?
Yep, save your money for something else. Speaking of, I ordered us some Thai food. Thank you. Oh, shoot.
I'll go get it.
Pretty high up here, isn't it? For unlimited talk and text with reliable coverage starting at just $20, call or visit Consumer Cellular.
We've got new video to share with you. Flooding coating these neighborhoods in the Sarasota area this morning. That was flooding from Debby. Very likely the heavy rain associated with the storm. Of course, we did see some surge flooding across Florida's west coast, but a lot of these areas inundated by inches and even in some spots in Florida, feet of rainfall. There were spots that closed in on up to and over 12 inches. And now Debby's threatening southeast cities with that significant rainfall that would lead to flooding. That includes Charleston and Myrtle Beach in the state of South Carolina, two very popular spots for recreation, for vacations. It's still very much the summer season, and meteorologist Chris Bruin is live right now in Myrtle Beach, where a lot of families go. And Chris, you spoke about this already. You know, folks are willing to do a day or two of rain, dodging the shower, staying in the beach house, but this could be such an impactful system there in northeast South Carolina that we could be talking about almost a whole week of rain, and that would lead to a lot of closed roadways. So you truly may be stuck.
Yeah, and that is something I don't know if you're a visitor, if you even realize. You're thinking about the inconveniences and not being able to enjoy the beach, but this is going to be a lot more than just rainy days. We're talking about life-threatening flash flooding. And I think that's going to be our biggest factor. Yeah, we're going to have coastal issues. Yeah, there will be the risk for power outages. Right now, wind doesn't look like our biggest impact in Myrtle Beach. However, we will still see strong gusts, and don't forget the severe weather aspect as well as these squalls come in. A lot of people doing some indoor activities today are hanging out under the awnings. We're on the main drag here in Myrtle Beach. You got Ripley's, believe it or not, a lot of restaurants and those beach shops that people are kind of just moseying around, enjoying kind of a cooler day than what we've seen so far this summer. But the real impact starts, I think, overnight tonight and into the day tomorrow. In fact, the rain isn't far away. I've been monitoring the radar. Maybe we can pull up the radar too and just show you what the skies are looking like from our vantage point. And there's the beginnings of the squall. It's less than 10 miles off the coast and coming in fairly quickly. Once that comes, we'll have some bursts of heavier rainfall. It may let up at times tonight and then become more intense as we get into the morning hours tomorrow. We're at 79 degrees. It's been cloudy most of the day. This morning we had a few peaks of sunshine, but we haven't had a lot of rain yet. We're far enough north and the moisture is kind of dying out as it gets here, but that will all soon change. There's the radar. Most of the rain here has been just south of Myrtle Beach. We've been seeing a few sprinkles, but that's really about it. But the heavy rain starting to work its way in, and that will come with stronger winds. This is kind of the initial band features, and we've got to watch to see how these set up because Myrtle Beach could be in that spot that just gets inundated hour after hour tomorrow into Wednesday, into Thursday, and we've got to see the exact track of Debby and how it moves through the southeast because, Alex, if it does stay over land, that will keep the winds on the minimal side, although we still could have the risk for power outages, 40, 50 mile per hour squalls. But if it were to come out over the Atlantic for a little bit, it could have the option to intensify further and continue to have that onshore flow, and that could enhance some of the additional impacts. But regardless on whether it stays weak across the inland areas or moves back over water, rainfall stays the same. And that's going to be our biggest threat, significant flash flooding in the days ahead.
Absolutely. Chris Bruin, live from Myrtle Beach. We thank you so much. We're going to get back to Chris as he monitors the situation there, a spot that could see some absolutely intense amounts of rain. Flash flooding at the very least could be really significant and impactful for both residents and visitors. And then there's the threat of heavy rain that extends into parts of the Northeast, too, as we get into the second half of the week and the weekend. It does finally look like Debby will move off towards the north, at least according to the European model. GFS has some other ideas in its latest runs, but heavy to very heavy rainfall along and east of the I-95 corridor, with even some moderate rainfall totals back towards places like Binghamton, back towards the I-81 corridor in the state of Virginia. The timing looks like this. Wednesday morning, we've got some showers up towards places like Philadelphia, but moving through Thursday and Friday, you see the system gets tugged to the north, also pulled a little bit. Some of that tropical moisture in advance of the actual low would bring those heavy rainfall totals over a period of time across sections of the Northeast. By Saturday late in the day, you can see off the coast of New England before it zips on out. So finally does get moving, but not before at least offering up some heavy rainfall to parts of the Northeast. So it could be a soaking end to the week for some of these cities. The European forecast model does show that the rain shower chances start to go up as we get into Friday afternoon. By Saturday, interior sections of the Northeast could also be seeing some heavier downpours before that axis of heaviest rain shifts off towards the east, the I-95 corridor for the day on Saturday. By Sunday, still some lingering showers left over, but the overall low moving out. So European model bringing that heaviest rainfall to portions of the the I-95 corridor and the beaches of Delaware and also Jersey, parts of Long Island, and even the Cape seeing some very heavy rainfall. USGFS model offering up the heavy rain potential for parts of southeast PA, but especially New York and New England. So we'll continue to monitor those forecasts. Still plenty of uncertainties and where this exactly goes beyond the second half of the week as it just meanders in the short term. When does the steering flow finally get it out of here? Thursday into Friday, we'd be watching for possible flash flooding into parts of Virginia, with the option for some isolated flash flooding in areas that are awfully stormy today. And then we've got Friday into Saturday, possibility of flash flooding extending all the way up to New England.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
amazing.
My psoriasis was all over.
Then psoriatic arthritis. Who knew they could be connected? For me, Cosentix works on both.
Cosentix helps real people find clear skin, and in psoriatic arthritis can mean less joint pain and help stop further joint damage. Serious allergic reactions, severe skin reactions that look like eczema, and an increased risk of infections, some fatal, have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine or plan to, or if IBD symptoms develop or worsen.
This is ludicrous.
Ludicrous. All right, who called for ludicrous?
Sorry, we went, this is ludicrous.
Yeah. Oh, you don't tell ludicrous what's ludicrous. Ludicrous tells you what's ludicrous.
Okay.
Oh, that is ludicrous. You don't need me for this. Hang on. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Good thing you have State Farm. Just file a claim on the app or call us.
Guess I can go.
Don't you mean roll out?
No, I don't.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This bakery needs new equipment fast to keep up with demand. So they're going to On Deck, the online lender that makes it easy to choose your loan and if approved, get funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
Always dry scoop before you run.
Listen to me. A hot dog diet got me shredded.
It's time we listen to science. One A Day is formulated with key nutrients to support whole body health. One A Day, science that matters.
I'm lucky. I found the one thing that I was put on this earth to do. And every day, as I inch one step closer to my vision, it reminds me that making it in life is all about the making.
At Ram, our calling is to build trucks. So when you find your calling, nothing can stop you from answering it.
Now, during the Ram Make This the Summer event, get $2,000 bonus cash allowance on select 2024 Ram pickup trucks and vans in dealer stock. See your Ram dealer today.
Got brush piles? Devour them fast with a DR Chipper Shredder. You'll chip and shred with power to spare because DR's big engines beat the competition. There's a full line of DR chippers and chipper shredders, and they're all built USA tough.
Shop the sale today. All DR chipper models are on sale and free shipping is in effect. Hurry, this offer won't last. That's drchipper.com.
Vehicle breakdowns are costly.
It started making some really weird noises.
If your check engine light comes on tomorrow, the repair could easily cost thousands.
Here's that transmission.
But with Endurance, you could never pay out of pocket for a costly repair again.
They covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
$1,400. Endurance paid it.
Who's going to pay for your next car repair? You or Endurance?
Call right now to get $300 off any plan. Call now.
The power of the Weather Channel, now available to everyone.
This is epic!
Trusted live coverage when it matters most is now yours to stream with the Weather Channel TV app, real-time radar, and maps that let you track all the action. Available now on these platforms. Download now to start your free 7-day trial.
I want to talk a little bit about winds with this system because we have been hammering the fact that rain, freshwater flooding, surge. These are all going to be an issue, and we'll continue to talk about that. But I don't want to disregard the fact that there are some gusty winds with this. In fact, inland from Cedar Key, from the west coast of Florida, they did have a gust to 76 miles an hour. Jacksonville gusted to 58 miles an hour, the 7th strongest gust for the month of August. Shockingly, flights are still going in and out of Jacksonville. I checked that a little bit earlier. I was like, I can't believe they're flying in and out of this as the storm's approaching, though tonight maybe they'll start to pull back on some of those flights due to the storm getting closer and closer. Here, it's been kind of a breezy day. Tallahassee, by the way, there was a lot of trees down in and around Tallahassee. I know I saw that there was a lot of damage there. Huge trees. You can see the root bulb over as well. So I want to focus on water because that is the #1 killer when it comes to tropical cyclones. It is going to be a huge issue with this storm. But you have to remember, when you have saturated grounds and you have trees and you get a gust 40, 50 miles an hour, which we could see here in Savannah, and also up towards Charleston, then you could have trees that could come down, and those could fall on homes, they could fall on power lines. So you need to keep that all in consideration as we go over the next really 24 I was going to say that it's 36 or 48 hours. That's usually as long as you have, but it's like 24 to maybe, I don't know, Wednesday, Thursday, even into Friday when this makes its potential second landfall there in South Carolina. There's going to be very strong winds. And Bettis, it's not just South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia. I mean, that range stretches really all the way up into the mid-Atlantic.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be still very worried if I were living in, especially eastern North Carolina, although the mountains could even get some of that, or the foothills of the Appalachians could get some of that. I think Virginia could get some very significant rain.
Exactly.
Again, it'll depend on what the tail end of that forecast is. Then you think about terrain, right? Because in some of those locations, it's a little hillier where the runoff becomes a little bit more intense.
Dennis, I have one more note for you. As you can see behind me, the port is closing at 3 p.m. And so we have seen a lot of movement here on the Savannah River. Not to change the subject, by the way. It was like squirrel. I saw something happen. I wanted to tell you guys. The port is closing. Schools had a half day today. They're off tomorrow and Wednesday as well. And earlier we did see some tankers. I don't know if they were leaving because the port was closing, but we saw them when we were in Tybee Island heading out into the Atlantic as well. So they're kind of shutting everything down today as we head into the worst of it into this evening. And another change of subject. I was bringing up earlier, would this be considered a direct hit for Savannah if we get into the center of circulation of this thing? That's something I think we should discuss.
Well, I think maybe if it comes offshore and then comes back in again, I think you could have that possibility of a second landfall. I think you could have something like that for sure, Alex. Or Alex,
so
I mean,
it has to
Steph.
landfall to be a direct hit, is what you're telling me?
Now it's technicalities. I'm gonna have to check with NAB. NAB would know this better than the rest. NAB, thoughts?
Regardless of where it comes from, if you are struck by tropical storm conditions, that is a tropical storm strike.
A strike. So
yes.
is there a difference between strike and landfall and direct hit? Those are all three different things, or?
Yeah, landfall is the center crossing the coastline, but a hurricane strike or a tropical storm strike is when hurricane or tropical storm conditions go over an area, regardless of where the center exactly went.
All right, Steph. So there's
what about
hopefully
direct hit,
makes it
though?
clear.
What about direct hit? There's a lot of terminology that's used. What about direct hit? You'll hear some people say that.
Direct hit was not a term that we used at the Hurricane Center, so I'm not sure how to apply that.
You learn something new every day. That's why we love having you, the best of the best.
Exactly.
All right. You heard it
but
first.
Your point is well made, Steph. You said like 72 hours, maybe. It might even be like 96 hours or beyond that we're still dealing with this. So a lot could happen here. Let me bring you the short-term forecast. We'll bring back in Dr. Nab, talk some more details as well. Here's where we stand. 65-mile-per-hour winds, north-northeast movement at 7, so it's slowing down right now. Look at all that heavy rain, especially in North Florida and Georgia right now with that flash flood emergency ongoing in Columbia, Hamilton, and Suwannee counties where the rain has been a foot or more. This is very close to Lake City. Be very worried about that I-10, I-75 interchange. Look at the heavy rain now, forcing its way just a little bit east of that, but that's going to work its way probably like around the Valdosta area to Brunswick, maybe shifting up toward the Savannah area as well. Severe weather is possible. That does include a chance of tornadoes as well. We've got a Torcon of 3 here. Orlando's in that, Daytona, Jacksonville, Brunswick, Savannah, and Charleston. Can't rule out brief tornado touchdowns, especially in some of those outer bands. Here's a look at the forecast track. Again, meandering quite a bit here, zigzagging its way through the southeast, through South Carolina, North Carolina, up through Virginia as well. I'm going to be very concerned about how much heavy rain we could see all the way up into Virginia, maybe into Delmarva here. These are places where I know the forecast could get ominous for you down the road, so just pay attention to it. Locally, 12 to 18 inches or more is possible for us here through Saturday. Georgia and South Carolina with really heavy rain forcing its way up into our mid-Atlantic state.
Geico can help when you're locked out with their easy app and 24/7 help.
Dad, you don't have to make this so tough on yourself. Geico is sending someone to unlock our car right now.
Yeah, but where's the fun of that?
Whatever you need, get more with Geico.
Here are your keys.
Yep, your worst nightmare. Your car broke down. Now you're worried if it's going to cost you a fortune in repair bills. Unless you already called CarShield, the legit #1 auto protection company in the country. When you're protected with a plan through CarShield, the process is smooth like ice and done in as little as 3 steps. 1. First, the tow truck takes your car to the shop. The cost of towing, covered when you got a plan through CarShield. Next, you probably need to get around while your vehicle's being repaired, right? 2. Plans through CarShield have rental car options too. Then comes the best part. 3. When you pick up your vehicle, you don't have a big repair bill to worry about. CarShield administrators get your covered repairs paid directly to the shop, so you're back on the road with no worries. Call now to get an affordable plan through CarShield for your vehicle before it's too late. When you call CarShield, whether you got a small problem like a power window motor that could cost a few $100s, or a big problem like an engine or transmission that could cost you thousands of dollars, you're taken care of. CarShield is the #1 auto protection company in the country, and their administrators have paid out more than $1 billion in auto repairs. That's billion with a B. CarShield is the choice that gives you the CarShield guarantee. Your rate never goes up, and your coverage never goes down, no matter how many claims you have. Look, it's inevitable. As your car or truck ages, the parts and components are gonna fail. It's not worth the risk. Call CarShield now.
Waiting until your car breaks down is too late. Call CarShield for coverage on up to 5,000 parts and get the CarShield guarantee, where your rate never goes up and your coverage never goes down, no matter how many claims you have. Call 800-507-7956. 800-507-7956.
Oh no, a rash. Maybe it'll go away. Oh, how am I going to find a doctor I'll actually like? Is that a QR code?
Dr. Stafford makes you feel at ease.
Thanks, Rash.
You've got more options than you know. Book now.
So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking
About our honeymoon.
What about Africa? Safari.
Hot air balloon ride.
Swim with elephants.
Wait, can we afford a safari?
Great question. Like everything, takes a little planning.
Or put the money towards a down payment
On a ranch
in Montana.
with horses.
Let's take a look at those scenarios.
JP Morgan Wealth Management has advisors in Chase branches and tools like Wealth Plan to help keep you on track. When you're planning for it all, the answer is JP Morgan Wealth Management.
What's up with your dad, Chloe?
Ever since he got AT&T's best deal on the new Samsung Galaxy, he's been up on his high horse.
Best deal got me feeling like a big old cowboy.
That's a very high horse.
Perhaps you can wait in the waiting room?
I'll just go wait in the waiting room.
Ride high with AT&T's best deal on the new Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 6.
Debby making landfall this morning, and it is on its way, lumbering through Florida and Georgia and South Carolina. Heavy rain, the name of the game. Welcome into our coverage here on the Weather Channel. I'm Mike Bettis.
I'm Alex Wilson, our hurricane expert, former director of the National Hurricane Center, Dr. Nab, with us as well. We're going to be talking about this through the week, and so that slow motion tropical downpours means some areas could be getting double digits, even over 20 inches of rain.
Yeah, so regardless of where the center exactly goes and regardless of what status it has, it's going to be a slow-moving tropical storm, and that might not concern you until you realize how many feet of rainfall could bring life-threatening conditions to a large portion of the southeast U.S.
Now, take a look at this, by the way. This is Horseshoe Beach in Florida, where we had really close strike from this, and you can see how the Gulf of Mexico was then pushed on shore. Some storm surge flooding here, Dr. Nab, heavy rainfall in these places as well, and those two will work in combination in many spots to create problems.
Yeah, and it's good that a lot of the homes here, built up on the stilts, as you see there, to lessen their vulnerability to storm surge. But to your point, along the Georgia and South Carolina and North Carolina coasts, the storm surge itself might not be enough to cause evacuations, but it will prevent the rainwater from draining back out into the ocean. So salt and freshwater flooding could combine to devastating effects in places like Charleston.
Yeah, going to be interesting to talk to Cantori. He's going to be coming up at the top of the next hour because they've got a really unique setup with the Charleston Harbor being where 3 rivers drain. That gets backed up. You get all that heavy rain coming. That water's got to go somewhere, and unfortunately, that means it's going to go into communities. But storm made landfall earlier today around 7 o'clock local time near Steinhatchee, Florida, Category 1 hurricane. Obviously, since weakening to a tropical storm. But we also talk about the tropical storm force winds. They're going to be persistent, and so more falling trees could be an issue. Already have lost a life due to that.
Yeah, so it's not like the wind isn't dangerous. You know, tropical storm force winds can be very dangerous. It's another reason to stay off the roads, in addition to the tornado threat, in addition to the very life-threatening flood problems we're going to have. Multiple days of high risk from WPC.
It's going to be around for a while. The thing is just spinning right now through North Florida. Will eventually make its way up into Georgia. There's where it sits right now. It's due west of Jacksonville at this point. We've had rainfall rates that have exceeded 2 inches an hour. In some places, more than a foot of rain has come down here today. It's been really, really prolific rainmaker.
Yeah, we've got some of our live cameras giving you a sense of what's happening out there throughout the states of Florida and Georgia and South Carolina. We've got Tallahassee. You've been drenched at times. Also some gusty winds. 78 right now. St. Simon.